metamorphosis. The change, the process, the goal. A lot of times, I'm just being serious. The metamorphosis is hard. But that's why I tell people all the time, that's why that scripture is so important. That's why that scripture, Romans 12:2, is so important. Be ye not conformed to this world, but be ye renewed by the transformation of your mind. When you want better things in life, you're gonna do better. Simply put, you're gonna go through a metamorphosis. And when the metamorphosis starts, it starts with your mindset, your paradigm, what you put inside your head. I'm trying to tell you, like, the metamorphosis is so powerful, but it's gonna be painful too. It's not always gonna be easy, and it's not always gonna be pleasant. The life cycle of a butterfly starts out from a caterpillar, but when he's a caterpillar, trying to transform and trying to make it, he's in the jungle. He's in the fight. You know why? Because at any given moment, if he's not strong enough to survive, if he's not strong enough to make it through the journey, he's gonna die. Because for one, he don't have wings. He has to go through a process. He has to go through a metamorphosis. And like, I think it's so fascinating just to see, not only just from how a caterpillar transfers from a caterpillar into a cocoon and then blossom and metamorphosis over time when his journey was not interrupted, although he had to endure the hardships of life, even though that his journey was not interrupted. And so just seeing how that process of that cocoon and how they just go for a certain amount of time, and then all of a sudden, over a period of time, all of a sudden, he comes out of cocoon from what you saw as a caterpillar is now a beautiful blossom butterfly. Like, think about it. Think about it with a newborn baby. Same concept. A newborn baby is gonna be on milk first, okay? They gotta be nurtured, they gotta be nursed, they gotta be cared for, they gotta be taken care of, they gotta be, they have to have a lot of attention, you know what I'm saying? Because a newborn baby can't defend for themselves, but over time, that's what the metamorphosis is. The metamorphosis is a process over time. Over time. Think about it. After a while, but after a year, a baby starts walking. They start becoming a little bit more independent. They start getting into things. They start pulling up on things. They start grabbing things. But then think about the process, like over time. Then you have a little taller. Then you have a teenager. Then you have a young man or a young woman. So I'm trying to tell y'all, like, but between those times, they're gonna have to go through life cycles. And when they go through those life cycles, they're gonna have to endure some things. They're gonna have to go through some things. Like with babies, they're gonna have to bump their head sometimes. They're gonna roll off a couch, or they're gonna fall out of a bed. But experiencing that level of pain builds their tolerance. You're gonna go through some change, okay? You're gonna go through some change. It's a process. Everything's a process. A metamorphosis is change over time, transforming. But when you go through some things, don't think that, like, oh, it's all bad. It's not all bad. Because in order to become the best version of yourself, you gotta go through a metamorphosis. You gotta go through a change. You gotta go through a process. You gotta go through a series of events that's destined for you, that's purpose for you. You gotta go through that. And I just want you to understand that, in order climbing the ladder, that's why I call it, it's a ladder. You don't rush up a ladder going to the top. You don't rush up a ladder. You take it one handle at a time. But as you continue to go up the ladder and you continue to go up that journey, I just want you to understand that a metamorphosis is taking place. But then when you look back down from where you started, you wasn't the same person when you got to the middle. You wasn't the same person when you got 3/4 of the way. You wasn't the same person when you were close to the finishing line, and you wasn't the same person when you got to the finish line. What I'm saying to you is, once you reach the top, when you look back at your life and you look back how far you come, when you put in that work, when you go through that journey, when you go through that process, when you go through that change, when you go through that shaking, when you go through that breaking, you understand then that the person you are now, and in the process, when you couldn't see it because you was hurting so much, you was going through so much, but when you got blindsided and things just kind of got blurred for you, but when you started to realize, like, man, the whole time I was climbing, I was transforming. I was going through a metamorphosis. Embrace the metamorphosis. it will mold you into the best version of you.